Good morning, everyone. We are in the weekly portion of Yitro. It's on page 433 in your Chumash that we use here. Chapter 19, verse 1 of Exodus. The Torah now returns to the historical narrative before the episode with Yisro, before God offered the Torah to the Jewish people. He offered it to the Edomites and to the Ishmaelites, but they refused to accept it. On the first day of Sivan 2448, the third month after Nisan, in which the Israelites had left Egypt, they came to the Sinai desert, where God told them He would give them the Torah. The anticipation they felt on this day over receiving the Torah is to be re-experienced daily. For we are to study the Torah with the enthusiasm characteristic of a new experience, as if God gave it for the first time that very day. This is a very important message. When you do a mitzvah, you learn Torah, you should always feel as if it's a new experience. It shouldn't be stale, old news, alte Sachen, as they say in Yiddish. There should be something that you experienced for the first time, almost. I mean, it's not easy, but that's the message here. Every day you should feel as today I arrived at Mount Sinai. They left Rephidim in a unanimous spirit of repentance for having doubted that God's presence was among them. And they arrived at the Sinai desert still in this inspired spiritual state, camping in the wilderness. They began to prepare for the giving of the Torah, although each individual related to this event differently. They all realized that it would forge them into one nation under the same God. So it's many different individuals, but they're all one. There's a unity in purpose, a unity in mission, united in this religious national consciousness. Israel encamped there as one united people. Unfortunately, this was the only time throughout their trek in the desert that they were so united in spirit. At all their other stops, there were individuals or groups who dissented against the community or rebelled against God. So out of 42 stations or stops that they made in the desert, this was the one time that they were all unified. Okay? They camped facing the mountain at its east side. The top of Mount Sinai was covered with cloud and remained so continuously until the giving of the Torah. So they were all these people stood on one side of the mountain. It's not as one would think they were all around and around the whole mountain. It wasn't that way. It was all one side. The following morning, on the 2nd of Sivan, Moses ascended Mount Sinai to God. He went up the mountain. God called out to him from the mountain and said, in general, when you teach the people the Torah, you must first say each lesson gently to the house of Jacob, in other words, the women, telling them the outlines of the commandments and the rewards for their observance. Since women are more naturally predisposed towards spirituality, this will be enough to ensure that they observe the Torah's commandments. In contrast, after you teach the women, you must relate the lesson bluntly to the male Israelites, specifically all the punishments and details of the commandments, in order to ensure their compliance. It's a very interesting point. We laugh, huh?
Yeah.
Was there ever a women's lib movement, huh? Yeah. The Torah is the most liberal towards women, huh? Look at this. Look at these words.
It's interesting because they're predisposed towards, more predisposed towards spirituality.
It's true. We know that to be true. But now tell both the women and the men exactly as follows, no more and no less. Generally, when you give over the mitzvahs, you should tell the women first in a more gentle fashion. They don't need to be told, with the severity that you need to enjoin men. But this time he's saying, say equal, no more, no less to both. You have seen, what should he say to them? The following: you have seen what I did to the Egyptians. Because of their depravity, they deserve to be punished even before they enslaved you. But I only punished them on your account. Furthermore, you have seen how I carried you swiftly, as if on eagle's wings, and brought you to me. On the night before the Exodus, you were dispersed over the whole land of Goshen, but I assembled you together instantaneously at Ramses, when it was time to leave. Also, I figuratively carried you on eagle's wings when you were encamped at the Sea of Reeds. The eagle carries its young upon its wings in order to protect them from the hunter's arrow, right? You see what he's saying? An eagle flies the highest. So the only thing he's worried about is an arrow that's going to come from below him. So he puts his fledgling, he puts his young on top of himself. And similarly, Hashem says, I placed my cloud between you and the Egyptians in order to intercept the arrows they shot at you and the rocks they hurled at you. Remember, we learned last week that there was a cloud that went between. You have also seen how I brought you to me by choosing you from among all nations to assist me in implementing my plan for the world. You have seen all these things firsthand, and you know that I did all this in order to bring you here to give you the Torah. So here on the second day of Sivan, God is choosing the Jewish people, making them the chosen people.
Rabbi, why was the Torah first offered to Ishmaelites and Edomites?
Because it says, because he didn't want that they should always be able to say, if you have such a treasured people, if you would have given us the opportunity, we would have also been. So he said, you know what, here's the opportunity. And they said no. So now you will enter into a permanent relationship with me, provided you are willing to bind yourself to me in two ways. A, you vigilantly heed my voice, performing my commandments. And B, you keep my covenant. In other words, bind yourselves to me super-rationally and unconditionally. Although undertaking to perform my commandments is a serious commitment, you will find that if you make this decision now, it will become easier for you as time goes on. For the first step is always the hardest. In any case, once you enter into this relationship with me, you will be for me a treasure cherished above all nations. It is my prerogative to choose you for this relationship from all the other nations. For the entire world is mine. I am in no way limited in my choice, and I make the choice in the Jewish people. Furthermore, you will be unto me a kingdom of nobles who will rule over the other nations, and finally you will be a holy nation, wholly dedicated to my purpose, rather than to simply maintaining and enhancing the orderly physical functioning of the world. In other words, all peoples have a function in this world, of course. To maintain the world, to make it a good world, to be, But the Jewish people were given a holy mission. That is to bring about the ultimate purpose for which all of creation was brought into existence. These are the words that you must say now to the Israelites, no more and no less. Okay, we'll stop here. Yisro koach.